Hello and welcome to Teaching with Smartboard. My name is Scott Miller.
And I'm David Sladke,
This is episode number,
number 4.
as you can see down at the bottom of our screen here, we have our website where you can go to and find the templates that we have for every one of our lessons that we use every week.
And you can also go to our website for podcasting if you would like to subscribe to that.
So you can see episodes 1, 2, and 3 at that particular website.
That's right.
All right, Dave.
Okay. Um, this is our little logo that we got to love the smartboard.
Okay.
And we are located in Naperville, Illinois, right near the big lake.
Which big lake? That lake?
Wait a second.
I don't know if are we located
We're
there?
not near that big lake.
Uh,
That is near Duluth.
Okay.
We're not near Duluth. Oh, there
Near
we go.
different lake. So
That's
near Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan.
Okay.
That's right, just west of Chicago.
Okay.
You can see our emails there. Feel free to give us an email if you have a question or comment.
So Dave, what's on the docket for today?
Here's what we got. We would like to go through a 9-piece 3x3 puzzle, and we're going to do a smartboard tip, grouping with the control button, and a tutorial about how to export to PowerPoint.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we begin, Scott, I was going to ask you, we try to get our students to go to the smartboard.
Okay.
And I wanted your opinion on that. Why do you want them to get up to the board?
Well, I think a big thing is that we want our students to interact with technology as much as possible. Sometimes they're actually better at interacting with technology than we are. Um, and I find that by getting them active and involved, they become much more focused on what the concept is that we're working with on each day of a lesson. And I also find that that concept tends to stick with them better as far as their engagement level with what they're working with. How about
Right.
you, Dave? What do you think?
Well, I think similarly, I believe that when we get the students to the board, they're teaching, and when you teach something, you learn it a little bit better, and they're interacting. They like to interact. They like to be up in front of everybody else, and it does create a higher engagement level in your classroom. Well, let's get started. First of all, our 9-piece 3x3 puzzle, I just gave some directions there that I would give on a slide right before the activity. And you can see here, they're going to get a handout, all right? And they're going to cut this handout into 9 pieces. Now, it could be different number of pieces, whatever you decide. Mine are 9. I found that works best for my classes. Then they're going to try to arrange these pieces into the 3x3 that's located just like down here, and it's going to be matching sides. So let's get an example of that, Scott.
Okay.
So right here.
So if you look at these pieces that we have here, this is not a Sudoku puzzle that we're looking at.
No,
It's actually involved with some a lesson then would be on order of operations, I would guess. Is that right?
yes, right, exactly. So you can see how much math's going on here because we got students trying to, well, first of all these pieces are separate
Mm-hmm.
on Smartboard, but also they have just cut these out on the lines. So all these pieces are on their desk and they're moving them around and they're trying to match them. And you can see, for instance, right here, we got -4 -6 is not -6. So these two are definitely not matches. And you can see right here, these two, 20 and -5 times -4 is a match. So right now we can see that these two are a match. And
So to illustrate that then, Dave, can you move a couple of pieces around to show us how students would be doing that at their desk?
right, so you know we could have these moved around, and actually they're going to come up later in the class and move these around and um, to get the finished product. And so you could just move them around, just like I forget that game that you can move those pieces all around.
Was it kind of like that puzzle game where there's one square missing
That's
and you're
right,
trying to maneuver
similar
around?
to that, exactly. So we could just move these all around to get the match. And the kids, it's a challenge for them. They're working with their partner, of course,
Okay.
and we ask them then. after a certain amount of time. Maybe they've gotten all of the pieces, maybe they've gotten just a few, and we come together as a class and we ask one student at a time to come up and actually um, place one of the items in the right location. Um, and if time is an issue, then we just have given the answer and say, here, compare yours with ours. Here's the key for you to check it out.
Okay. All right. And again, Dave, in terms of your template, is there any rhyme or reason of why you put shapes on each of the particular puzzle pieces?
Well, I put shapes because I found that I wanted the students to be able to say to each other, to communicate, um, you know, this piece goes here, and then they can say the circle goes here, or they can kind of identify with the piece. And especially when they go back up to the board, when they're trying to rearrange it, it's a little bit easier to identify the piece. And so they're not as panicked when they're up at the board. I suppose there's colors we could do as well, but this is the path I chose.
Okay. And that saves a little money in terms of printing if you don't have a color printer.
Yeah,
If you're going to go with color,
that's
just
true.
go with
Right. Good
shapes
point.
instead.
Good point. Um, and I've given a template here for you. If you go to that website and download this, you could just use this, and all these pieces are separate. All right. So you can make your own. This could be vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
You could put vocabulary here. Anything that has a match, you make it as your original, and then mix them up. Remember how we talked about the cloning the page? You
Mm-hmm.
could clone that page. And so uh, this is 3 by 3 um, a puzzle.
Okay. All right. Now, Dave, I noticed that each of, you have your template here, but we also had some, for each of the particular puzzle pieces that we had something that was typed on at each particular edge.
Correct.
How in the world do you get those particular items on and then keep them on a particular
Well,
puzzle piece that you have?
that leads us right into our tip
All
today.
right, Dave.
That is excellent. Why don't you talk about that? We made these as individual text boxes.
Hmm. And so for that, we actually just moved the cursor on the page and then typed something.
Hmm.
Okay,
Or
so
if you were at the smartboard, you certainly could just draw it right on
that's
there.
right. That's right. So, like you said, each of these are separate from each other, and we want them to be grouped together. And so we're talking about grouping with the control button.
Right. Because I could take this, and it's hard, if we take the control button, we can hit, I'm holding the control button right now, and now I'm clicking on something else, and you can see both these items are now uh, highlighted, and I got all of the items that I want. And I wanted to bring in the control button. Certainly we could have just grouped everything like this.
Sure.
But when you're talking about something like this, it's harder to pick what you want. So
When
that's
you
why we talked about the control, so you can have finer points of holding on and selecting.
Sure. So you're talking about as if we had the template and we
Right.
typed all the items on. It's a lot easier than to use the control button to get the 4 items that we have here and not get them mixed up with something else that we have on
Yeah.
another particular.
Right. Because when you start to drag this and try to get something, something else gets picked.
So again, just to review, holding down the control button, we can select the individual items that we're interested in and then group them together by again hitting that pull down menu, going to group and hitting Control G, or from the keyboard after using the control button, then hitting Control G to group them together.
That's
So
right.
now all of these items now move
Whoa,
together.
we forgot our little
Yes,
triangle.
we did.
And that's okay because we're gonna pull that over, and now we can't see it, so we're gonna just take a look at the order. We're gonna send this to the back. Oh, now we can see it, but we have to group this again. We're gonna hit that, Control, and group it all together.
And we talked about that in one of our previous episodes as
Yes, we
far
did.
as overlapping of objects and bringing them to the front.
That's right. So that is the grouping with the control button.
Now, Dave, from time to time, we look at taking items and maybe a student's been absent, or maybe you want to print this out in a presentation or something else like that. But I notice sometimes when the print feature that is involved with Notebook is terrific because you can, we'll look at some other ways of tipping in the future, some tips in the future of printing these things. But sometimes though, when you want to print a page, it doesn't print everything that you want to fit to the screen. Is there a way to address that issue?
Yeah, it is. And I got this tip from the Smartboard Lessons podcast, and it was terrific. It's actually just importing or exporting, excuse me, exporting your Smartboard lesson to PowerPoint, and then printing from there.
Okay.
So let's just take a look at how you would do that. First of all, you got to find, you got to click on, you're in a Smartboard document right now. You click on File, all right, so you'd click on File, all right, up here, and then you can see there's an export,
Mm-hmm.
all right. After you do that, after you click File, Export, then you click on PowerPoint. What this is going to do is going to take you and it's going to send it, and I'm not going to do it right now because it takes a couple seconds to generate it, and it would actually send your whole document um, to PowerPoint, and then what you have to do is just print the slide from PowerPoint that you want full size. So I'm just going to go to a PowerPoint document, and this is, you can see right here, this is a Smartboard file that I've sent over there. And now in PowerPoint, you can see it's full size. So I just go File, Print. I print out whatever I want, and whichever slide I want. I could have just picked a certain slide, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's full page.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So that has been great. And thank you for the Smartboard Lessons podcast for giving us a tip like that. Our departments use that, and they've liked that because when you get that smaller size, sometimes that's a little bit harder to see
Sure.
for our
Sure.
students.
Now, Dave, in the future, are we going to talk about these pull tabs here that you've got here? These
Sure, yeah,
fancy,
we could
fancy
talk
things.
about that.
Okay. Sounds good.
You like those little?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Little different.
Yeah.
Um, I was going to ask you a question, Scott,
Sure.
because I wondered if you knew why none of my trig students are going to go to Florida for spring break this year.
I, I don't know, Dave. Why not?
Well, they've already found a tan.
Oh.
So
Oh boy.
they're all set with their
Oh
tan.
boy. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Dave, speaking of, going down to Florida or something like that, do you know what the force is called on the surface of a beach ball?
No, no, I don't.
Well, speaking of students, it's sphere pressure.
Oh, that's good. Very good.
So, Dave, just to recap what we looked at today,
Okay.
we had our 9-piece 3x3 puzzle. And again, our template is in our document here and then also at our website if you want to go to it and grab that. Then we moved on to our Smartboard tip of how to group things with a control button,
Mm-hmm.
which is especially useful when you have a lot of items on a particular page, and then being able to select those particular items to group. And then the last one that we talked about then was a tip that we got actually from the Smartboard website of exporting a document to PowerPoint. And we'll be looking at some features like that in the future then also.
That's right. We appreciate you joining us, and again, you can subscribe to our podcast by going to this site, and also we have all our materials that you could help at this site, and love to hear from you. And that's it for this week. Hope to talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
All right.